Well, ain't no more time to talk about it here, Pepper. It is indeed time to be about. Looks like we got a couple of players already hitting out to the pitch. We're going off to DFH Stadium here to get things kicked off. There we go. Oh, wait, hold on just a second. We might have a play. There we go. All three is getting ready to jump right on in. I think we might need to reset the lobby here just for the kickoff, maybe, or maybe they'll just run with it right there. Because we do have the ability to reset from something that we haven't had to do in the past. But I think we're just going to go ahead and get things going again. This is game number 1. Let's get down to it.
Yeah, looking good so far. Both teams just, settling into things here, filling out their setups. Some light touches on the ball over here. Both teams just passing it back and forth right now, it looks like.
Remember, this first
boost totals there.
The first 60, 90 seconds will probably be a little more of the two teams, because again, this is best of 3. You don't have a whole game to feel one another out. You might have where that first 60, 90 seconds is more of that feeler out sort of situation where you kind of take what the defense is giving you, try and figure out what sort of approach you want to take at it, and go from there. But at least as far as for the opening minute of play, it does seem like the Miners have a small grasp of at least pressure on the field, but right now the shots have been coming from the Voyagers.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was just about to mention earlier, like the boost totals on the Voyager side are looking pretty good here. They're managing to keep their boost up on these plays and still make these shots in. Yet to see some boost control from the Miners in terms of keeping that up on their plays.
90 seconds gone by, still waiting for that first goal here in game number 1 as Bronze but Proud will move this forward, looks to get it over Fishy. A nice job being able to stop it just in front of the goal. Now I'm going to try and find a way to break this pressure as they've been caught back in their half for a while here, have the Miners, as Carl will at least be able to flip the field. Unfortunately though for Sir Penguin, unable to follow up with the shot, which will allow for the Voyagers to retain the possession.
Yeah, the demo's coming in here to try and keep possession of the ball. You see the Miners coming in for some offensive action here on the Voyagers, passing it back. We're going to see if they're going to be able to set up a play here potentially, or have to fall back on defense.
So looking for a first shot here are the Miners. Their defense has been kicking in. They've definitely been standing the line. But you got to start building up some pressure here. Sir Penguin passed one, and asking you shall receive. Sir Penguin goes coast to coast with it, picks the pocket, finds a way to push it in the other side, and just like that, the Miners up by 1.
Yeah, and the defenders on the rotations there for the Voyagers not able to make it back in time to be there for the defense, making it past that first defender.
Still plenty of time here for the Voyagers to find a response, but it will have to start with breaking out of their defensive half. I think the important thing is to realize is the amount of time that you do have. Sometimes teams will fall behind, and all of a sudden they start pushing the pace and making themselves uncomfortable. 2 minutes and 15 seconds is a whole lot of time in a game of Rocket League, but the Miners have seemed to have made some adjustments here. They've got the Voyagers trapped back in their half.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of setting up here in the midfield and having their players ready to keep the ball in the Voyagers side. Voyagers just trying to desperately defend at the moment and get the ball back over to the other half.
This Bronzo has a chance, pops up, can he gather it? Looking for the dunk down onto the other side, and oh, it was so close, but it gets shut down. It's 102 seconds left in game number 1, and while the Voyagers are still looking for that first goal, they've had pressure. They've had things that they got to feel confident about moving forward, but you would really like to break the seal, get that monkey off the back, and get that first point on the board.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said, the Voyagers here, they do have a lot to look forward to. Oh, and right as I say that, Miners put one down, 2-0 up on the board. There is still some time in this game, though, for the Voyagers to potentially come back.
Ooh, the slightest of touches from Carl to be able to find the spot. Slenderbender gets a nose on it, but can't knock it out. And that extra goal there has to feel nice for the Miners as they get themselves a little bit of a security blanket. And again, keeping the pressure forward. It's back into the orange half. Slenderbender trying to find a way on out. Will be able to take towards the sidewall and has some gas to work with, but unfortunately gets bumped off. And that should give the Miners possession once more.
Yeah, possession going over to the Miners here, but they're not going to keep it for very long. We're going to see Voyagers coming back in here, trying to find a way to get the ball back. passing it out to midfield here. He's going to go in for a shot, not going to be able to make it, unfortunately.
Got a chance, a minute's left. Ooh, nice slightest of touch. Here's another opportunity off the rebound. Unfortunately, can't gather it. Now it's Carl going the opposite way. That's off the backboard. It will be a follow-up here from Fishy. That does sail just a tad bit wide. And right now for the Voyagers, you can't really afford to have any more empty visits. Down onto the blue half. Here's Slender Bender looking for a pass towards the middle, but Fishy Friend does a great job of picking the pockets to go the opposite way. In the corner, takes the opposite pad as well, giving less resources for Voyagers to be able to flip this pitch.
Yeah, Voyagers here trying to come in, and honestly, there's a lot of iffy commits here I'm seeing from them where they're doubling up on the ball. I think that's what might be costing them this here.
Yeah, it definitely feels like spacing could be a position for the Voyagers to work on in between games, because it does feel like they are a team that can keep up with the pace of this Miners squad. We even saw them earlier on. They were ahead in both ball possession as well as field domination. It's just unfortunately for them, once the Miners made adjustment, the Voyagers just couldn't quite lock it in the same. Remember, a game of Rocket League, kind of like that tug of war, right? At the beginning, you kind of start, you're at even sides. Teams make adjustments as they start to kind of pull a little bit of that rope towards them, and the Miners continue to make adjustments. They got a firmer and firmer grip on the game. It's going to be up to the Voyagers to come out here hot in game 2.
Yeah, we'll see if they can fix their issues from game 1 here and potentially get some better rotates in, a little bit better in terms of their positioning. And I think if they can do that, they can totally have some competition here against the Miners. Like two goals to nothing is not exactly a massive lead here, so there's definitely a chance for them to come back.
Especially when you were able to output them in shots almost by 2. You know, I mean, 4 shots as far as on the side of the Miners. The Voyagers had 7. Yeah, some people might look at that and say, oh, the shooting efficiency not there. I say, you know what? You keep shooting, you're eventually going to start making them. You just start putting them on target a little bit more. So for the Voyagers, see if you can stack that deck, push those long averages in your favor. The good news is, score game number 1 no longer matters. We've got zeros on either side of the scoreboard. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's go ahead and get down and do what it do.
Yeah, I'll see if the Voyagers here can make those adjustments in that short amount of time that they had already. Putting a shot on net looks pretty good from them, but the second not put there to put the shot in.
Just a nice shot from Sir Penguin, an even better save from Slender Bender. And now it's going to be the challenge of finding the clear. That's been one thing that the Miners did so well, is keeping them pinned back, and it does not take long for the Miners to strike first. It's a great job by Fishy Friend. Picks it on up, puts it right on target. Oh, just the slightest of touches. It's technically off the hood of a Voyager. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward defense from the Voyagers. Looks like they're all scrambling there to get back in net to make the save, and none of them quite made it there.
All been there, right? You hear the shots coming in, you try and rise on up. It's just unfortunately you just can't quite get there, and then all you can do is sit there and look at it and watch it back on the replay. The good news is it's just 1 as Bronze but Proud tries to flip this pitch. It's a little bit of pressure forward here for the Voyager, but it ends up onto the hood of Sir Penguin IV, who scoops it up and at least moves it back toward the midfield line. It's a 50 right there at the midfield, and neither team really able to seize the control.
Yeah, it's just going back and forth between these two teams here. Honestly, going back and forth on the pitch here. The Miners been able to put one down, but the Voyagers here, they're still keeping up the pressure. Putting some shots on net here.
Start putting more into your advantage. They've got 2 shots. You got to start piling more on. The good thing is you are forcing the defense to have to make saves. You've been able to find the read thus far, and just wonder, when does the defense not just bend, but does it break? As far as for now, 90 seconds gone by. It will be the 1-goal lead for the Miners. For the Voyagers, 1 shot turns things around and ties things up, but unfortunately 1 shot and 1 goal the opposite way really changes the story as well. So they have to make sure they can lock it in on D.
Yeah, just looking at the boost totals here, like the Miners are just being able to keep their boost up here, staying on the offense and really getting the ball back. I keep seeing, looks like the Voyagers are just running low on their boost totals, almost desperately trying to keep this ball on the Miners side.
It does feel like they're doing a better job as far as keeping them pinned back, and when you can limit the resources of the opportunity, limit the resources of the opposition, there's less opportunity for them to be able to flip the pitch really quickly, as Nart Carl puts on an absolute highlight reel of a shot, rises up. It's the double tap. That's on your head, boy, as the Miners go up by 2.
Yeah, honestly, incredible shot by Not Carl there, but we did see a little bit of awkwardness from the Voyagers in the defense. You know, they're just stuck underneath the net, can't quite get up there to defend the shot.
I feel like a lot of that goes back to the limited resources, right? When you don't have much boost, you don't feel comfortable jumping up with the limited little bit you have because you're trying to save that to be able to exit out of your half. Speaking of halves, we still have a whole half of play here for the Voyagers, so I don't think you have to press the panic button just quite yet. However, if they do surrender a third goal, the narrative changes quite a bit.
Exactly. Like I said, in between games, like up 2-0 is not exactly a game-losing score there, but they got to make sure that they put something in soon here. Otherwise, they're going to start running out of time, and the pressure is going to start to settle in.
Slender Bender pops it up. Let's see if he can carry it coast to coast here. Left off for Caffeine God, and unfortunately that transfer doesn't quite settle the way that they were looking for, which allows the Miners to take the possession. It's off of the backboard. Fishy Friend tries to fire it on target, but luckily Slender Bender there to shut it down. Looking to try and break out of their half. Here's going to be Bronze, but Proud past Fishy Friend. Looking to be able to pick it up in their corner, looking for a potential pass towards the middle, but just can't keep the handle.
Yeah, looking for those plays into the middle there, get the ball up, be able to pass it in. The Voyagers need to do a better job of their setup here. They're failing on the setup. If they make that setup, they can get those shots in, I believe.
They definitely have building points, with building blocks to be able to build upon here for these next couple of rounds of this group stages. Unfortunately, right now, it just feels like the Miners have complete control. They've been able to spend not quite 2/3 of the game down here on the orange half, but it is closing in on pretty darn close. But what is also the limiting factor in game number 1, we had seen the Voyagers really be able to put on shots on target. They were able to put on twice the shots that the Miners have. It's the opposite here. It's been the Miners field, and the Voyagers just happen to be playing on it.
Yeah, it really feels like after that first game there, the Voyagers are very shaken here. They seem to be losing their footing even further rather than standing on the blocks that they do have and being able to build something.
Could be one of those situations. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was gonna think for the Voyagers here, like looking into their next games here with the minute they have left, maybe try and see if they can work on the rotations a little bit and talk about that and figure out who's going for what.
Yeah, that was actually, I was gonna say, it could be one of those situations where you are just playing against one of the tougher teams in your group in game number 1. Someone's gonna have to get that draw, you know what I mean? And if that's you, that just means that you have to take these last couple of minutes, like you said, and just kind of really dial it in and be able to set yourself up for those games that you feel like you should be walking away with. Be able to still earn that shot at the playoffs. Remember, this is group stages. Yeah, every series matters, but what really matters is to be able to put yourselves into that playoff bracket.
Exactly, like we talked about in the pre-show there, right? Like these games really matter for the learning opportunities that they provide, less of the proper score of these games.
Time for these students to develop and strengthen their skill sets, not just as far as for today, but obviously for the rest of the semester here as well. But I think obviously the main focus is trying to see who can advance to that playoff bracket, realizing that quite a few of those teams will be advancing that National Invitational next week as well. We had talked about how the goal for these teams during group stages was to be trying to wrap these series up quick, fast, and in a hurry. The Miners able to do just that with a sweep.
Exactly. Yeah, it was very good of them to be able to put that up in 2-0. And I'm starting to think I might be starting a caster curse here, picking the Voyagers. They're going 0-2. Might have to watch out for who I root for in the future.
It's just one. We won't call it a caster's curse just quite yet. But
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the big thing there, it just felt like the Miners, after that first 60 to 90 seconds in game number 1, they were just able to make adjustments and keep the pressure over on the Voyagers. And game number 1, despite the fact that the Voyagers outshot the Miners, most of that was in the first half. The Miners were just able to make some changes. The Voyagers definitely going to have to dig into their bag and make sure that they're on their P's and Q's for round number 2.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see the Voyagers work on that, like the rotations, making sure they know who's coming for which ball the touches and being able to be in order, like that's how you can really defend those shots from the Miners and make sure those goals don't go in.
We promise y'all we're going to be trying to keep as much action on y'all's screens as possible. So as soon as we get that round number 2 set up, we've got EMT Marauders versus VIMY Valkyries as our next matchup here on stream. So as soon as we can get those players here into our lobby, we'll be back. But until now, we'll take ourselves a little bit of break and we'll be back with more action on the other side.